come down quite often here. Speaking of rails coming down, another challenging line to finish, 10, 11 to 12 to 13. The skinny fence at number 10, here measuring just under 1.50 meters in height. Caution needed there at fence number 10. Straight up the arena, 4 strides to number 11, the old school T-Bird Totem. Up to number 12 and 13, the Longines Oxer, down to the Steelcraft Doors, Liverpool. Fence number 13, that is your first round, as we're just 5 minutes away from the top of the order for our $75,000 Steelcraft Door Products Cup, with 10 countries represented, including 19 Americans, 8 Canadians, 4 Mexican riders, and riders from Israel, Germany, Ireland, Lebanon, Brazil, Denmark, and France, including 16 of those riders with multiple horses today. Best of luck to all of our riders, and we'll be back in just over 5 minutes with the top of the order.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get underway with full field here. We're about 57 to see in the first round of this afternoon. $75,000 Steelcraft door products up, and what a way to start for their 2012 World Cup champion here joining us, of course, many-time competitor at the World Cup Finals.
Well, hello and welcome to Thunderbird Show Park here in Langley, Vancouver. We're getting underway here with the Steelcraft door products. Jump-off competition. It's going to be a very strong field, about 56 combinations coming forward, in fact. Rich Feathers is going to be getting us underway, represents the USA, got a great string of horses at the moment, and the one he brings forward today is the 10-year-old mare by Empire called Steelby. This is Rich Feathers for the USA to get us underway. And Katie Stazak staying alongside me this afternoon. Katie, it's a great course, and I think you're going to take us round.
Absolutely. The course designer this week, one of the absolute best that the world has to offer, will be designing at the World Equestrian Games, and a great pair to lead us off over this track. Rich Feathers on course with a very promising mare, 10-year-old Swedish warm blood. She's by Empire, won 2 ranking classes at Spruce Meadows this summer, and had a very nice go-round yesterday in our speed class. Really just had a bit of a cheap rail, one of our faster 4-faulters. Rich really enjoying the ride with this mare as he brings up kind of the next generation of his top mounts. He's going to take the rail down there at our natural Liverpool Oxer, and this is a very interesting line. It's a lot of related fences, but the bending lines are set a little bit differently. It's not completely flowing or natural. You really have to go out for a few strides before you turn and really line up to get straight these fences.
Yeah, some of the lines are a little bit offset, and I think that's to make the riders, really think and really concentrate about those lines. It's quite an angular course. And just starts with the 8 jumping faults there. Rich Feathers and Steelby for the United States of America. 69.83 for our first to go, and just dropping down 2 rails. And one of the rails he had was a skinny fence, and when we were walking we said just how delicate that fence looked. It doesn't take much.
It is incredibly narrow, and that a mare that really just made her international debut in March. A lot of nice things to come from that pair.
Well, this is Jad Dana from Lebanon. He's actually based at Spruce Meadows these days, and it's going to be a 10-year-old stallion by Cassini that he rides in this one, called the Rosa VDL. Now, he jumped this on numerous occasions at Spruce Meadows over the summertime in the 5-star competitions there, and picked up some really good placings. I mean, they haven't been together a huge number of years, but I think they're really starting to get to know each other.
Yeah, they've only been competing at the international level together since last summer, kicking off that career in June of 2017. They made the top 10 in World Cup qualifying competition at Calgary last season. Like you said, Adam, a great tour at Spruce Meadows. This is a rider that has really capitalized on opportunity.
And riding it somewhere like Spruce Meadows, I mean, all the arenas are huge big grass rings. So, I mean, I think that's, great preparation to come somewhere else like this, and then come in and start to jump, the World Cups and stuff in the big open arenas. If you can jump at Spruce Meadows, you can jump anywhere.
Absolutely.
Gets a lot of insight from Kelly Cross-Bricks, who's, based there, part of the family as well at Spruce Meadows, and does a great job helping to produce these horses.
He's going to get there just a little bit too easily there in 7, and then kind of fighting to have to get out of that triple. Just listening to the course designers walking the track here and finalizing all of their adjustments, they were talking about, they were very intrigued to see how the riders were going to handle that line through the triple. And again, the skinny's going to come down. Yeah,
I mean, that was always going to be one of the fences that will come down the most on track here today. The Longines one falling as well. And you see just fighting, he's just using his upper body down that line again today. But will finish on 16 in total. 73, 61 and 16 for Jad Dana de Rosa VDL. A lot of interesting questions out there today.
Definitely, and you saw a few of those. Just, it's a game of inches here, and you see that reflected in the score a little bit. Well within that time, 76 seconds is what they decided on. They were very much between 75 and 76 seconds for that time allowed today.
Well, we are live on the FEI YouTube channel, also live on the FEI jumping page as well. And if you want to get involved with the conversation, let us know where you're from. If you've got any good luck messages, any questions you want to ask, you can get involved here this afternoon. And it's a real international field. We're going from Lebanon to Egypt next. Nail Nasser, the 14-year-old stallion, Lordan by Lordanis.
13 nations represented here this week at Thunderbird, of course, as we gear up for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver, the first leg of the North American League, as we build up to the finals next year in Gothenburg. Niall's been to World Cup finals with this horse on multiple occasions, just a veteran pair. This should be a true measuring stick of how this course is going to play out.
Yeah, they've got real international experience, these pair. They know each other inside out.
They've won 4 separate World Cup qualifiers throughout their career. Twice at Thermal. They've won at Del Mar. They've won at Wellington. They have not won here at Thunderbird. They were second.
Not yet.
And it could be very, very close here. A big contender coming up on Sunday. They are going to pull a rail, though, out of the triple combination this afternoon.
Yeah, I think we're going to see this next skinny come down quite a lot. And I think that triple combination is going to be another big contender here this afternoon. But, I mean, he's answered some of the questions out there really well. And 73.88 will be the time he finishes in, and just that one fence down. You know, that was a really nice trip from him. You know, the horse jumped its heart out, and then just having that careless rail through the combination. Bit of a heartbreak for him, really.
Heart is the key word there. That horse has so much heart, and that's a top combination right there, and another consistent effort. They're always right up there.
Hi to Marion Riek, she's watching from Berlin, and John Garner, another commentary partner in crime and mine. We did Royal Windsor together, and he's also watching in Calgary, which is also hours away. Everywhere is hours away across here. Carlos Sanguero joins us now, represents Mexico, the 12-year-old Sunshine. Mexico certainly flying high at the minute with that success they had in the Nations Cup at Dublin. We've got some real nice young riders coming through their ranks as well, and so many international shows starting to pop up down in Mexico now. This season we're going to see 2 World Cup qualifiers there.
We will, and we'll see a brand new stop on the league. It's Lion, and it looks absolutely beautiful. They have incredible facilities there. The level of competition just continues to grow out there in Mexico. Really enjoy my time out there.
And the food's great as well.
That helps.
It's very important. Martina Kaiser's watching in Louisiana, just getting back into things. She says, out of curiosity, those wide black bands around the girth, some of the horses that you see, what are they? Those are what we call belly bands. And with the horses being clipped, and especially for chestnuts for some reason, their skin seems a little bit thinner when the riders are wearing spurs sometimes, and if through no fault of their own, they can just give them a little nick on the way around. And of course, as we know, if there's any blood at all on the horses as they come out, welfare being one of the #1 things in our sport, then they are eliminated or disqualified depending on the circumstances. So those belly bands are really just to protect the horses.
Yes, and sometimes you can just even do it just by rubbing your leg hard, even without a spur. It just depends on the horse.
Some people don't use them. In fact, if you look at this rider, he's too cheap to buy a belly band. He's just left a patch of hair there instead, and it's actually just as effective.
And how effective is that? He's going to give us our first clear round of the afternoon. He's just keeping it all natural. And a lovely go-round there. Carlos Henguero and Market Erminka.
75.97. You don't get much closer to the time allowed than that. 76 seconds is the amount of time they have to answer all the questions out there. But he will jump clear, and that is our first. And you know, Mexico really are on form at the minute.
Absolutely. A really big Nations Cup win for Team Mexico this summer. Winning at Dublin, they have just been absolutely on fire. Major contenders, and There's the standard been set.
Exactly. It's game on now. And it's the first one of the home nation, Tracy App, the 10-year-old mare by Carthino Z, Denise. Tracy's been adding to her string recently. She's got some nice ones coming up. There's a few riders actually in that transitional stage where they're starting to bring some new horses up.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time for, as both someone, a commentator watching them make that journey, and obviously for the riders themselves. There's nothing more exciting than just infinite promise. These two just made their 5-star debut at Spruce in June. Just debuted at the international level this year. They've jumped here at Thunderbird as well as at Calgary and Blenheim.
She seems to spend the year in the sunshine. Starting off in California, San Juan Capistrano, it's always warm there. Warm in Calgary over the summertime. A lot of the riders never seem to see any cold weather.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, in trouble here through the... Wow, what an effort from that horse. He just wanted to keep going.
It's going to be interesting if she can get things organised again to come down to that Oxer. I think she's going to, yeah, quite sensibly. I think she's actually called it a day. No, they are going to reset that combination.
Yeah, the bell has sounded, so the clock has stopped. She'll take a breather. That probably might help her. Let her regroup a little bit.
It's going to be useful to her. But I think from here on in, it's all about, training. It's all about tomorrow. You're out of contention, so you can use a bit of time now.
You can't see it on screen, but how quickly was that combination reset? The jump crew here at Thunderbird, they literally sprint to the fences. They are some of the fastest jump crew that I've ever seen. I swear they timed themselves to see if they can outpace each other.
That's like a Rubik's Cube, that fence. See if she's going to continue on or just take a courtesy fence.
Yes, I think she might just be taking a courtesy fence here. Yeah, they'll just... Or they're just going to continue on from there, from the combination. Okay.
Longines are coming down as well, and she really had to work hard just to straighten up down to the final fence. In the end, though, 83-25, 18 total there for Tracy Epp and Denise representing Canada. So if you have just joined us, we've already seen one clear. We've seen 5 combinations jump so far, and Carlos Sanguero is the only one to answer all the questions within the time allowed with Marcus Herminka. Long way to go, though, about 56 combinations coming forward in total. Sean Cassidy is going to be joining us now. He's worked with some great people over the years, including John and Beezy Madden, some great input into his career. And the horse he brings is very well bred. It's by Cardento, it's 10 years old, it's Dakar VDL, and Sean Cassidy now for the United States of America.
Sean has been successful in the sport from such a young age, and it's really carried on, and as he's taken that next step in his career. He has worked with some great people, now partnered with Windmont and Ronnie Beard starting last year, and that's what brought him out here to the West Coast. And now he's riding for High Point Farm and Tina Yates, who just had her first child, so she is on maternity leave. He's keeping the horses going. It's newer partnerships for him all the way around, but he's been doing an exceptional job, turning in some nice rounds here yesterday.
First fence coming down there today. Long way home from here. You mentioned Tina Yates being on maternity. I know she is itching to be back in the saddle and back in this ring, so I don't think it's going to be too long before we see her back on board.
I wouldn't think so, especially with the string of horses she has at the moment.
Yeah. Must be so tough sitting at home watching and just wanting to be in the ring.
I can't imagine. Sean actually finished third yesterday in our Maui Gym Welcome Stake. That was with another ride, Durango VDL.
Crazy Philly's watching on the FEI YouTube channel and says the triple looks like it's going to be causing a lot of problems today. And I think she's absolutely right. And we saw that when we walked it, in fact.
We did, and again, the course designers were saying they were really interested to see how everyone would respond to that. I think that's a great identification there.
Well, she finishes on 12 today. Sean Cassidy, Dakar VDL, 75.70 for Sean. Pops him into fourth place at this stage. Long way to go, though. Still just sitting on that single clear at the moment.
It's a stout track, and we saw a large field last night as well. We had 50 competing in that Maui Gym Welcome. We only saw 8 clears.
This is Carrie-Anne Boyce Lockhart, Ferro DC. It's by Darko, this horse. This is one that she's been campaigning quite a lot, and she's been here, you know, for the last couple of weeks, and she also jumps here during the May tournaments with some good finishes with this horse. She's got another one at the moment called Carlos as well. It's doing rather well.
At that Nations Cup week in May, she made the top 3 in the 2-star T-Bird Welcome. Of course, 2-star competition ran concurrently with the 5-star Nations Cup classes. Carrie-Anne running her Poseidon Stables out of Eugene, Oregon.
Very delicate fence there.
Yeah, she jumped in and got so high up above that first fence, she thought she really had to ride forwardly and just kind of pushed a little bit past it there. And that very unique T-Bird license plate wall, not really posing an issue at all yet. The horses have all had the opportunity to jump it the past 2 weeks, so a bit spooky, but many of these horses have already seen and conquered that fence. Hard drift right there through the triple combination, but they make her through. Horses jumping great.
It's that very skinny style again.
That fence is going to keep the jump crew busy. And again, we're seeing the Longines Oxer fall quite a bit as well. It's again set off where you almost have to stay out for 4 full strides before you turn and line it up. And that's hard to do when you're thinking about the time is allowed as well and rolling home toward the end of the course.
Well, she will finish on 14 in total, 81.17 there for Carrie-Anne Boyce Lockhart, Ferro DC. 7 combinations gone so far. If you have just joined us, I'm Adam Cromarty alongside Katie Stazak. We've got a long way to go, about 56 combinations here in round number 1, and you can get involved with the conversation on Facebook and on the FEI YouTube channel as well. Let's go to Eve Jobs now. Venue, the new 13-year-old mare by President, that we've seen her ride pretty much all over the place. She's just back from a bit of a European tour with this horse and with the other ones that she's got in her incredible string at the moment. I know she's been riding in Canoca and a few other places with this one, and actually over in Great Britain at a place called Bolesworth, where she finished top 10 in the Grand Prix.
She really does have literally a world of experience with all of her travels, but she has done exceptionally well here at T-Bird. She won back, gosh, one of her very first Grand Prix wins was the Reliable Rentals Grand Prix last summer. And then she came back here during Nations Cup week in May, made the top 10 in a very difficult 5-star Longines Grand Prix that week.
She's 20 years of age. And with the format of the competition today, we are looking for that second clear to guarantee us a jump off against the clock. This is this triple combination, of course, that has already caused a few issues. Such a gymnastic question as she comes down there. And this is actually riding a lot better than it walks, I think, from that triple combination down that angular line to the Oxer. It looked like you really had to overshoot the line, but actually it's riding quite nicely.
I think it's the next line that's proving to be more difficult. But Eve right now answering every question.
Time allowed is 76 seconds. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. Might just scrape in though. Come on. Jumps the last, and 73.99. I can tell you she will be over the moon with that little horse. Jumps it clear, guarantees a jump off for us here. That was quite spectacular, really.
It was. What a partnership that this pair is establishing. She made that look so smooth. It didn't. She hardly had to make an adjustment. That
Absolutely.
was beautiful.
It's quite an ordinary looking little horse as well. You know, it's not too feisty down in the barn, and it goes in quite simple tack, and it just comes in and gets the job done.
What a great brain on that
exactly.
horse, but it certainly it jumps extraordinarily.
Now to Ace. Alison Robitaille joins us now. Practically born into the sport, of course. Her parents were racehorse breeders. She was always around horses as a child, and she's been involved with the sport for such a long time now. It's a 13-year-old gelding, this horse, by Berlin. This is Alison Robitaille, the United States of America. Her family are really supportive. Her husband Drew and her daughters Ava and Zoe as well.
One of her daughters was out here yesterday walking the course with her.
I'm sure it won't be too long before we see them on a pony.
Absolutely. And this is the horse that Alison rode at World Cup Finals in Paris back in April. It was Alison's first trip back to World Cup Finals in 12 years. She did take a brief break from the top level of the sport to raise her family. She's come back and just picked up right where she left off, and this horse has played a big role in that.
This is a horse that was placed well here just last week. Some good placings at Spruce Meadows over the summertime.
Second just yesterday in our T-Bird Happy Welcome Stake meter 40 class. They just kind of cruised around there. It was a speed. They weren't looking to be that fast, but this horse covers the ground so well and has such a lovely stride. They ended up finishing second, I think, with not a big effort put forth.
Just that final effort. The Liverpool water tray jumps the last. And again, close to the time allowed, but on the right side, 75.46 there. Alison Robitaille for the United States of America, jumping clear, brings us up to 3. And when we were walking the course, I thought we would have about 12 clears, and I think you went with 8. So are you still confident for your 8?
I think so. I think you're seeing the really established pairs rising to the top. They are starting to figure out the course. There's a long way to go, and we'll see, but we all know how deceptively difficult Allen's tracks can play out to be.
Absolutely. Certainly not over here. Let's go to Sayer Happy next. It means we stay in the United States of America. Placed top 10 with this horse last week. It's the 11-year-old by Mr. Blue, Selena Vidiel, and Sayer Happy for the United States of America. Someone was asking online, they saw Sean Cassidy was riding in a Hackamore, and is Hackamore allowed at this level of competition? And absolutely is. There's no issues with Hackamores in FEI.
Yeah, we see them quite often. A lot of riders make use of them. You see a few Hacka bits as well. So many options, really, and it plays such a big role in the sport as riders kind of switch around the bridle and find what works best. It plays a very large role.
Yeah, bitting's really become a science over the last few years. So many different new kind of combinations and styles, and
we just have to look at the tack rooms and the closets of some of these top riders. Yes. Kent Farrington is pretty famous for his bit closet, and it really is there. There's many options.
You see her really just using her upper body down there just to bring the horse back, because you need to be quite delicate going in there, and then it's power out.
Place the horse very well into that combination. This is a newer ride for her. Really just imported this horse in March of this year. Getting a lot of valuable experience. They've been jumping quite a bit. And you see the partnership just really starting to gel. As lovely over the jumps, but...
Yeah, 77 seconds. It's heartbreaking. One time fault. You know, depending on what you've been doing with your horse, I mean, this is one of the more technical tracks this horse has probably jumped recently, and I don't think you can be too disappointed when you go back to the barn. Perhaps a touch frustrated, but the horse jumped its heart out today.
There's probably a brief moment of hindsight. What could I have done to make it within that time when it's such a small margin? But overall, the bigger picture, to be so happy with the horse.
Should have gone faster. That's what she could have done. Just a little bit. Well, this man's certainly no stranger to this rink because we saw him win the Longines FEI World Cup jumping qualifier last year. He won here last week. He won here last night. It's Connor Swale of Ireland. Cos van Heist. This one's just an 8-year-old. He's starting to produce up the grades a little bit. Starting to introduce it to the kind of higher end of show jumping.
This is probably the biggest class that this horse has done. They jumped meter 45 yesterday in the Maui Gym Welcome. It was the mare's international debut. And now Connor just taking that next logical step. Probably the winningest rider here at Thunderbird Show Park.
Yeah.
He got this horse from a friend of his, Charles Daly, a fellow show jumper. He just started riding her at Spruce Meadows this summer. Jumped a few modified Grand Prix, and then stepping up now into international competition. Connor said this horse is very green, but has a lot of potential.
And he's really got, you know, strength and width in his string. You know, he's got the young horses coming up, but at the top end, I mean, he's got 2 or 3 now that really he could take into a Grand Prix. When you look at Coco Chanel, Rubens Lucia, it's very well horsed.
He is always a contender. You can't count him out.
And the rails this horse has had down are really the rails you'd, you know, expect a young horse almost to have down.
Yeah, if this horse finishes, just picking up one more rail, but I still think he'll be quite happy.
Yeah, finishes on 12 today. 3 down, Connor Swale. Cos van Heist, 73.98, and 12 jumping faults there for Ireland's Connor Swale. Quick recap of things as it stands then. We're on 12. 12 have gone so far. Seen some amazing clears towards the top of the order. And I think we're going to see a few more come down as well and jump a nice clear for us. I'm still going with my 12. We'll find out what happens as things progress. Kenneth Vinther is going to be coming forward next. Colaschio. So sitting on the 3 clears at the moment. Carlos Hank, Eve Jobs, Alison Robitaille, 1 for Mexico and 2 for the United States of America. And in case you can hear a funny noise in the background when they jump the first fence, that's quite significant because they're giving money to charity every time someone clears that first obstacle today.
Benefiting Just World International, an incredible charity. They do so much work. Launching into that double there. This horse has a pretty cool story. Kenneth says on a good day this horse stands about 16-1, just has the scope and the willingness to do well. All heart here in this little horse, and had a bit of a rough start as a 5-year-old. He had surgery for a hernia. When he was 6, he had colic surgery. So at 10 years old, he's probably a little bit behind the 8 ball than a lot of other horses.
Just sits on that single rail at this stage. Certainly got plenty of scope. A good 4 fault round could take them into 5th place at the moment. A long way to go though. Maybe just over that time allowed as well. So in the end, it's 4 jumping 2 time. Total is 6 there for Kenneth. 80.32.
I still think he'll be pretty happy with that round.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having that rail down and then Looks quite steady all the way around, but really just starting to progress up through the grades with that one. Carl Cook's about to get underway. He's had a busy week. He's got a lot of young horses here, and this one is one of his top horses called Tembla. It's a 14-year-old mare by Tengalo van de Zuthova. And as Carl Cook joins us in the ring, Niall Nasser's joined us up in the commentary box as well. Niall, you've just been in. How did you find that course out there today?
Hey guys, first of all, it was challenging enough. I can't say it's awful big, but there's a lot of related lines. Alan keeps us thinking kind of all the way through. Just a bit of a tight time, it appears, just from the results. But for the prize money we're jumping for today, this is a very fair track, I think.
And Lord Anne's an amazing horse. Tell us a bit about it. You've had it a while now.
Thanks. Yeah, I've had him quite a while. I bought him at the end of his 6th year. And then, there goes the plank for Carl. And then kind of got him going in his 7th year, and he's 14 now. So here we are 7 years later, still going at it. So I'm really lucky to have him and thankful for every round I get to jump with him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Thank you.
Is he a horse you're going to have in the World Cup on Sunday?
Yes, that's the plan.
Carl's got a nice horse here as well.
Yeah. Tilly's a long-time partner of his. They've won classes all over the place, and they look like a really strong partnership. That was too bad that he nipped the plank there, but I think he's just going to kind of bring it home and hope to build for Sunday.
You think at this level you really need 2 or 3 good horses?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Especially here in the U.S. where you're allowed to ride multiple horses in a ranking class. I think it definitely gives you an advantage when you can get in there a few times.
It seems like you've really been building up your string as of late, and a lot of time spent over in Europe and some pretty exciting results over there.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a great experience for sure. The global tour is very challenging, obviously, and you need a lot of depth and a lot of horsepower to do that. But I've got a couple new horses in my string that I'm really excited about, and we've just been kind of building through the summer, just try to get to know them a little bit, and I'll be back in California for the fall.
Who's the horse to watch in your string?
Sorry?
Who's the horse to watch in your string?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's has been on a lot of people's minds lately. He's a very attractive horse, a great jumper. I've had Lucifer too going quite well recently, and I really like him. I think he's a little bit more experienced, a little bit more competitive, but I think Lutz definitely catches a lot of attention on the circuit.
Well, quick recap there. Carl Cook finishing on 4.75.75, and it's Antonio Maurer that we join now with Galileo de Laubre, another combination that have been together a long time, just back from a tour at Spruce Meadows where they jumped some spectacular rounds there.
Yeah, Antonio's had some good results with this horse. It's pretty unconventional, quite big and slow, and you wouldn't necessarily think it's the sharpest thing or the sharpest tool in the box, but it definitely leaves the jumps up, and Antonio's one hell of a jockey as well. Yeah,
Mexico, I mean, they're on flying form at the minute.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Got a really
it's
good
nice
string.
to see new countries up there.
Yeah.
I think Antonio's going to be challenged by the time allowed here. It's a bit of a slow mover. Wonder if he leaves strides out anywhere just to make up the seconds that he needs.
Over the last few years, the time allowed seems to be playing more of a part. Is that something you sort of struggle with a little bit, or is it just part of the sport now?
It's part of the game, I would say. It depends really on the course. I think sometimes that time allowed is your 14th or 15th obstacle, and other times it's really not much of a challenge to make it. So it really depends on the course designers whether they want to make that a factor or not. But Alan Wade seems to know when's the right class to tighten the time on us. That was too bad. He had that front rail of the Oxer at number 9.
That was an interesting line. When we walked it, actually, it seemed to walk tougher than it's riding. How did you find that from the treble combination to that Oxer?
I walked it for a normal horse, just a nice 8, maybe a touch up. For Lordan, a little bit smaller. I got just a very nice 9 there. Jumping out of the triple, all the horses are landing a bit shallow, so I think you have to chase up there a little bit to get that 8, and that's where the front rail comes down.
Well, Antonio finishes on 4 today, 73.70. Staying on those 3 clears at the moment, Carlos, Hank, Eve Jobs, Alison, Robitaille, all answering the questions out there today. He's a little bit disappointed as he shakes his head and heading out. But
yeah, he had no problems with the time allowed there, huh?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the horse covers the ground perhaps a little bit because it looks slower.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was really neat on his turns everywhere.
Well, total field of 56 combinations coming forward today. Femke Korchain joins us now, Darussa S for Canada. Because you're jumping more in Europe now, do you find any difference between the US and the Europe markets?
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit of a different ball game out there, especially on the global tour. I think obviously that stands out. It's very delicate obstacles, and it's a lot of competition. You know, you look down the list, and it's a good 30 or 35 riders that can take the win on a given day. But I think, you know, there are pros and cons to both circuits. There's more prize money out here, and the opportunity to ride more horses in a class is really helpful. But I'd say, you know, just the level of competition and the level of course design and materials and all of that is a little bit different in Europe, at least on the 5-star level. I think when you go down to 2- and 3-star level, it's all very comparable.
Sure. Do you think the North American League over here is helping that with the World Cup?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think those World Cups definitely add a lot of flair to the season, and those classes are built to spec. You know, it's not like they dumb those down at all. So for sure, it's kind of bringing the level up. It's forcing riders to set goals and to make it a goal to try to qualify. But absolutely, I think it's been a great circuit for us, and it adds a bit of a different instinct and a different flair to the shows here.
Femke sits on 12 here at the moment. Jumped nicely through that triple combination though, and now down to this final line. So you're really just having to check and straighten up there, but full finish on 12 jumping in one time, so 13 total for Femke Kurchain even, 76-61. 16 gone so far.
Couple of early rails there, but she finished up quite well. She did add one more rail to that total, but I thought as she went, she got a bit more leveled out.
Well, Carrie Ruffer standing by, about to get underway. Georgie Dowvry for the United States of America.
Jumping on the global tour and jumping throughout the North American League, there's such a diversity of venues and the type of arenas and just areas that you're jumping. What's it like jumping out in a field like this?
Yeah, for sure. All the venues differ, especially, I mean, for a World Cup qualifier, it's kind of counterintuitive to be jumping on a big field like this, but this is a great field. You know, we've had a lot of success here. The horses jump well. You know, you have a lot of space between the fences, but as you can tell from the course today, everything comes up pretty quickly, so it really depends on the course designer's feel on a certain day and whether they want to make you really gallop up and down this ring or if they want to keep everything tighter knit. I know
Alan Wade has done an exceptional job
of
setting
he's one of
a
my favorites.
Smaller, kind of more compact course in a big field. He set a very similar track at Deer Ridge last season in Wellington.
Yeah, he's a brilliant designer. It's really exciting that he's building the WEG this year. I'm really looking forward to see what he pulls out of the hat there. I know this horse quite well. I actually rode it a little bit for Carrie a couple of years ago. I'm hoping she can pull it all together here and jump a clear round. He's been on flying form lately. She had a good third-place finish last year in Vegas at the World Cup qualifier, and she's just kind of stepping up to the 160 level with him. But he's really one hell of a horse. He's quite elastic behind and really light in front. He's got a nice mouth. Hopefully she can pop over this skinny here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Making a great job of that today.
Ooh, a couple of rubs on the last.
Oh, lucky.
Come on. Oh, another rub there. Good job, Carrie.
She's having a lucky day today. 71-41. She'll be over the moon with that, though. Carrie Ruffer, Georgie Dowvry jumps clear for the United States of America.
Great ride. She had a really unlucky rail yesterday, so I think she's making up for that this afternoon. That's a great partnership.
Yeah, big smile on her face there as she comes out of the ring. She's definitely pleased with him.
Brynna Clausen next to go then as we stay with the United States of America. It's an Irish-bred horse by Art VDL Douglas for the USA. So now we're going to ask you about your love life as well while you're here, because obviously you're now with someone, aren't you?
I am. She's coming up in the order pretty soon. If I get awful quiet for a second, you'll know why.
So going out with Jennifer Gates, obviously you're traveling to a lot of the same shows and stuff.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's a dream come true, honestly. There's not much to complain about at all. It's a great opportunity that we both get to be on the same circuits and kind of be jumping the same classes. We get to chat a lot about the horses, and really adds another wrinkle to our lives. We obviously share a passion, and we're both very dedicated to what we do. So it's only natural for us to want to be together at these shows.
Ever any arguments?
Not particularly, no. So far.
Not so far.
Should be careful what I say here on this live feed when she comes up, but...
You going to be popping the question anytime soon?
Ooh. It's for me to know and you guys to find out.
Anyway.
Talk about pressure
Moving
situation.
along.
Jumping a clear round's nothing.
Talking about the jumping was easy. That was the easy bit. That was just to lure you in.
Yeah.
Well, Brenna's sitting on 12 there at the minute. Really nice variety in the field today. Some real experienced combinations, some that are just starting to move up the grades. And she will finish on 12 today. 73.20 in 12 for Brenna Clausen. 703 down.
And that's just another strength of Alan Wade, being able to design a track that's very fair to the horse, but just challenges the rider to think. Everyone gets through and gets an experience that they can learn from and build off of.
Yeah, absolutely. He loves to make the riders think.
Yeah, it's especially difficult when you have such a variety and experience with horses and riders. We have a lot of amateurs in this, but also a lot of very, very good professionals. So I think Alan really has to weigh all his options and make sure that he caters to everybody out there, which he's done a fabulous job of today.
This is Claire Dossie coming forward next. Premier and Zimmeretto, the 10-year-old stallion for Canada. Yeah, it must be really hard as a course designer. It's never a job I would want to do, to try and not kill anyone, but at the same time, challenge the professionals and get the right result.
Yeah, absolutely. And jumping over in Europe this year, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, the quality of horses and riders, they'll build a real 160 track and get 20-25 clears, no problem, So I think it's getting tougher and tougher the way horses are being bred, the way riders are gaining experience. I think we're learning to negotiate these questions a lot easier, a lot better, and it makes it awful tough for these top course builders, especially at the highest level.
If it keeps going in this direction, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be the time allows it get tighter, the jump's going to get bigger? What's going to...
I don't know. I think it's hard to say. I think for sure maybe the specs could go up to 165, 170 at the really top shows. I think they already do that with some of the verticals. Obviously, we can't go too crazy with the heights, but I think, like you said, the time allows, the materials that they use, all those kind of things are going to come into play a little bit more. That was too bad. She just nipped the skinny there.
Looked like she almost just sort of stumbled around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's just kind of had one more behind, but I have to say that was quite a nice round. The horse jumped well, she rode well.
Yeah, I think she'll be happy with that.
She should be pleased with that.
Made a great effort, too, to get out of that triple combination.
Yeah,
absolutely. So Claire finishing on 9 there, 77.33. So staying on that same number of clears at this stage of play. Still think we're going to see another few though as things progress through the order here. It's like Carly Anthony coming forward next with Shaco, the United States of America. Carly's got access to some nice horses. I think she's still with Neil Jones, I think.
Yep.
She is.
She had a bit of bad luck. I think her horse Clochard got his eye stuck somewhere in the barn and ripped his eyelid off, but I think he's doing okay, but I think she just had to scratch him from this week. I think he was probably the more competitive of the two, at least at this level. But she's probably wanting to save this horse a little bit for Sunday, but now that one kind of had to take the week off, she's got to step this one into this class here.
Yeah, she planned to make her World Cup qualifying debut this week here at Thunderbird, gearing the horses up for it, but talking to her earlier in the week, she thought either could step up to the challenge. She was going to plan to jump both today and kind of see who went better. Yeah. Obviously now not really having that option, but having two very capable horses is obviously a great situation to be in should something like that happen.
And Carly's a wonderful rider. She's very stylish, very light, accurate. It's great to see her with some horsepower now on the Neil Jones team. And Seeing her on this coast is also a nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah, she said this is her first time back here at this venue for about 4 or 5 years. It's been
wow.
a good amount of time in Europe. It's great to have her back in the U.S.
She's jumping a good round so far. How's she looking on the time?
I think she's okay.
Okay.
Time allowed is 76 seconds. She's got 16 seconds to get home. Just keeps her leg on here. She should be okay.
7, 8. Ah. You jinxed her, Adam.
I know, exactly. That happens a lot. 74.82 and just 4 there for Carly. I mean, I think she was stepping that horse up today, and I don't think she's going to be too disappointed.
No,
really.
I don't think so. I think also it was a good rub for tomorrow or for Sunday, and she'll bring him back out and hope to jump a clear round in the World Cup qualifier.
Yeah, that should have her feeling a bit more confident there heading into Sunday. Big day for her. She said there's going to be a lot of emotions running through her head when she enters that ring on Sunday, but a bright future ahead for her.
Absolutely.
Jacqueline Duff standing by, about to get underway with Caesar Z, one of the home nation here representing Canada. That's by Chopin. With there being so many shows now, do you find it hard trying to manage the string and manage your calendar?
Absolutely, but I definitely feel like I'm way more equipped this year. You know, I've got a bit of a deeper string than I've ever had. It's always kind of been Lordan and then the ones that aren't quite as good as him. So, you know, it gives me more opportunities, more options. But you definitely have to have a good schedule and a good plan to be able to hit the stops that you need, but also have the horses in good shape for those stops.
And does having that bit of depth in the string kind of help you maybe manage Lordan a little bit better and pick and choose?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've only just gotten to know these horses, so he's had to do quite a bit in the beginning of the year as I got to know them. But now that, you know, I've had them, you know, 5-6 months, I feel like, you know, I feel comfortable enough to use them in some bigger classes and to just put Lordan out on the side for when he's really ready to compete. So he'll get a nice break after here, and then I'll bring him out in Del Mar probably.
Do you ever get a break? Do you
Nope.
ever go, no.
Nor do I want one.
Okay.
Oh, it was too bad. He kind of grabbed the bit and ran her into that triple combination. Just paid the price at A.
So just work a little bit into that upside.
Yeah, a little too deep there as well.
I think she could feel that coming a few strides out.
Yeah.
That's the worst feeling in the world.
Yes.
You're pulling and
There's
nothing's
nothing you can
happening, and you're getting deeper and deeper. Gets the 4 strides there. Oh, she's going for 5. Interesting strategy there to the last, but
Gallops it down
leaves
to
it
the
up.
last. 74.91, 8 jumping there for Jacqueline Duff and Caesar Z representing Canada. Slowly approaching that halfway stage here in round number 1. Are you going to stay with us for Jen's round, or are you going to be heading off to go and watch it down there?
How many out is she?
We got about another 4 or 5 before her. Do you think you can last that long?
Yeah.
That's only 2 or 3 actually.
Yeah, I'll just stay up here.
Okay.
I think she's doing all right down there.
We'll see if we can make you say bad things about her. This is Zazu Hoffman, Samson II. She had some good results in San Juan Capistrano earlier this year with a couple of wins out there in the Californian circuit. Where do you tend to spend the winter? Are you Florida or California? Or?
I was in Thermal this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably do Florida this coming year. But I think, you know, trying to find the balance between the two would be great, just because there are some good classes out in Thermal, and I like to support Tom's shows.
Yeah.
And the million there is obviously very lucrative for us, and we'll try to make a good plan for the horses that we can maybe hit a little bit of both. Zazu's a really competitive rider. She's had this horse now for a little while. She's hoping to pull out the clear today.
They stepped up to the World Cup level last year. Some nice finishes. Thunderbird here, as well as at Sacramento. Part of the Developing Rider Tour in Europe, jumping at Lisbon in the 3-Star Nations Cup. This has been a great partner for her.
Absolutely. Really had to step up there in 6. Looking good so far.
How many times would you walk a course like this? Do you just walk once? Or?
I like to walk twice. That's my general rule of thumb. Oh, what a late falling rail there. That was a bummer. It was too bad. It was going so well, and then it all kind of came unraveling by the end.
Yeah, some of the technical questions out there she answered so well, and then just those two unlucky rails. But finishes on 8 today, 70.51. Zazu Hoffman and Samson the second.
Score not quite indicative of how nice the round was.
No, exactly. Don't you just hate that?
Maybe sets her up nicely for World Cup on Sunday, though.
Hopefully.
So staying on 4 clears, Carrie Ruther, Alison Robitaille, Eve Jobs, Carlos Hank. So 3 for the USA and 1 for Mexico at this stage. Guillermo Obligado coming forward next with Tornado, 13-year-old gelding. So what's your plans after here? Where are you off to next?
I actually fly back to Europe. I've got my horses there still. I'll do a small 2-star in Opelbeek, and then I'll do the 5-star in Rome, and that'll pretty much conclude my European season. So I'll ship the horses back after that and be in California for the fall and hit those World Cup qualifiers. Another long-time partnership here, Eduardo and Quintal.
You get jet lagged at all flying back and forward?
A little bit, yeah,
Yep.
but get used to it.
I think it's part of the job now, isn't it?
Exactly. Ah. That was a pretty strange rail for him. Not a huge oxer coming into that double there, but Quintal might have thought the same thing.
Yes.
5, 7. I think now Eduardo's just going to work to set him up for Sunday.
Depending on the horse you're on, do you think some of these riders will use this just as a warm-up? You know, they're not really.
I think so, especially a rider like Eduardo, you know, who has a lot of experience and who knows kind of what he needs to do to get his horse ready for the big one. In a class like this, okay, it's great, it's got good prize money, but I'm sure Eduardo's targeting Sunday, and you know, a rail here is obviously a bit disappointing, but it's not really the end of the world.
Well, 74.82, and finishes on 4 today. Eduardo Menezes of Brazil with Quintal. 24 gone so far, 4 clears. Katie, you thought 8 clears. Are you still staying with that?
Yeah.
How many clears would you think we're going to see today?
I think that's a pretty fair number. I'd guess, yeah, between 8 and 10.
Well, it's Jennifer Gates next, the United States of America, the 14-year-old gelding, Alex. So I'm sure you can tell us all about this combination.
I could.
The stories you could tell us. What about Alex? Where did you find this one?
she's had him, I'd say, probably about a year or two now. He's been a great horse for her. She won the U25 championships. You know, she's the reigning U25 national champion on him, and you know, that's obviously a great result for her. Let's see if she can keep him together here. Ugh. Hate that. Early rails, those are the worst.
Yeah, it's a long way home from there.
Exactly. That was too bad. He kind of just sat down a little early there and clipped the back rail.
Yeah.
I think in the last couple of years, so the experience that Jen's gained, I mean, her riding's just changed.
Absolutely. I think it really shows, too, in the way she rides and the way she carries herself now. She's much more comfortable in the saddle, and she's seen some really tough and big tracks. I think, you know, a lot of being a rider is just getting the experience and just continuing to trek along, and she's done just that. That's a good ride into the triple.
I'm excited to see what working with Harry Smolders does for this particular partnership. Having
Yeah.
Audrey used to have the horse
Exactly,
with Harry, and
yeah,
now
Harry
Jen
knows this
working
horse.
with them.
For sure. I mean, the horse is 14 now, so we do have to temper our expectations a little bit, but you know, I think especially for classes like this, he's a great partner for her, and he's really taught her to be a bit more competitive, which is something she just didn't have experience doing, you know, chasing the classes, and he's just a nice, handy, well-balanced horse for her to be able to go out and run a little bit on. That was too bad, a couple rails, but I think she rode quite a good round there.
75.23. and finishes on 8 Jen Gates there with Alex. Well, we'll let you go back down and see her now.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Niall.
Great to be here with you.
Niall Nasser sitting alongside us there, and good luck when we see you in that World Cup on Sunday.
Thanks very much, Adam. Take care, Katie.
We'll see
Thank
soon.
you.
So plenty of talent still to see here in the Steelcraft Door Products Cup. Sitting on 4 clears at this stage. And Mandy Porter joins us now with Milano. Now she's one that's been jumping in the national circuits here this week. Also the international as well, starting to build up that string.
Well, this is a horse that she's won so much on. They won the World Cup qualifier at Sacramento last year. They've won the AIG Million Grand Prix. And like you said, Adam, Mandy really starting to build up the string around this horse, which should only just continue to benefit him. But definitely a horse that you would love to have in your string. So reliable.
Yeah, absolutely. As Niall Nassar leaves, Joey Rycroft sits down in his place. Joey Rycroft, an international course designer from Canada. He's assisting Ellen Wade this week. Joey, you've had a chance to watch this track. Is it like you were sort of planning with Ellen?
Yeah, I kind of thought we might see 2 more clear rounds than we have right now, but I can say that the track is working pretty much exactly how we intended at this point. The rails are falling quite lightly. It's a nice test everywhere. Like, I'm not seeing a lot of bad pictures, which is my favorite thing as a course designer for sure.
And when you start to design something like this, how long does it take?
It can really depend. Sometimes we can get it down in 15 minutes. Other times we sit there and struggle with it for 3-4 hours, and then once we find the line and then we start putting in the distances and the material and finding out where we're going to put the technical spots in the track is definitely more of a challenge. It usually takes us about 4 hours to nail down a solid plan of distances and material.
Well, that was a solid round there from Mandy Porter. Milano jumps clear, 73-74. Brings us up to 5 here at this stage. Mandy Porter adding on to that clear round list here in the Steelcraft Door Products Cup. Another ranking competition part of the weekend here at Thunderbird Show Park.
It was a really good round for Mandy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That horse has to be one of the most consistent horses I have seen.
Absolutely.
Really reliable. Well, of course, shaping up to be a great jump off because they all come back to jump off against the clock if they can jump clear here. Laura Jane Tidball joins us now, represents Canada. She had a good placing just yesterday here on this stage. And it's a great horse called Concetto's Son that she brings back, and it's the horse she used for Nations Cup, part of the gold medal winning team at Nations Cup in Mexico earlier this year.
That was her Nations Cup debut, a great moment for her, and another great partnership in the ring right now.
Not a bad start on your debut, is it, to go there and win?
No, it's excellent. I've been really excited to see Laura Jane and this horse's relationship form over the past couple of years.
When you're designing, Joey, are you looking for sort of different questions, or is it just places to, place fences out there in the field?
No, we definitely want a variety in the track. So like today, it has to be we want it to be much different than the Grand Prix, but we still kind of want to get a feel of the riders and how well they can do over this track so we can set an appropriate test for Sunday. These classes leading up, we want to have the results, but it's also just getting a feel of the riders and horses so we can put out the best Grand Prix possible.
What's the starting point when you're course designing? Where on earth do you start when it's just a completely blank slate?
They get some matchsticks, they throw them up in the air, and then when they land it, they just draw lines, and that's right,
Yeah,
Joey?
that's basically
Yeah,
how
that's
we
not
do
that.
it. No, like usually we have an idea, and then we build off of it. Like so, today we started like the line from fence 9 back to the triple combination back to the Liverpool there. That's kind of where we started this line, and then we built everything else off around it basically.
Well, that was a real shame there for LJ, Laura Jane Tidball and Concetto's Son. Just that very delicate skinny falling down today. So finishes on 4, 74.94, and goes into 11th at the moment. So how many clears did you think we were going to see out there today?
I'm hoping for between 12 to 15. I'd like to see 12 as a pretty good number for the jump off for me.
You conversed with him earlier, Adam.
I didn't ask him earlier. I said 12, Katie said 8. And
Well,
she's now saying I'm cheating.
No, out of a field, like we had 63 original on the list and then 53 start, 12 is a pretty good percentage for a jump off of that for a class of this size.
Juan Jose Zendias next. Tino LeChapelle, the 11-year-old gelding by My Lord Cathargo. Another one of Mexico's riders who really has just been winning all over the place. Saw him at the Youth Championships. Did very well there.
These two were second just yesterday. The Maui Gym Speed, they held onto the lead for quite a while in that class, and were just caught at the end by Connor Swale. A great week so far.
Yeah, as we saw from the Mexicans in Dublin, like they're definitely on the world stage, and they have strong riders and horses all the way through their squad.
When Niall Nassar was up here, we were chatting about how the sport's changing, and sometimes you can set the biggest course and you still get lots of clears. What's going to change in 5 or 10 years time, the way we're breeding horses and they're getting almost like super horses? Is it going to be the time allowed or the height of the fences, or
I think it's going to be a combination of both. Like, I think the technicality, we can still do a lot more with the distances along with the heights and time allowed. I don't know that we'll go too much faster than we already go at some places now, but I think there's a bit more to do with the height and technicality over the next few years for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, like the distances we used for horses that were considered normal 10 years ago are no longer even relevant.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. 12 there. 12 for Juan Jose Zendias. 69.06 the time. Takes down 3 rails here in round number 1. 5 clears. Mandy Porter, Carrie Ruther, Alison Robitaille, Eve Jobs, and Carlos Hank-Guerrero. So that's the clears we have at this stage. We have seen about 28 combinations so far. One of Canada's athletes, in fact, I think Darren may have pulled out possibly. Yeah, this is Vanessa Mannix that we're going to next. Valentino. We've got a couple of scratches there with Darren Dillon and Sonka Thyman. If you have logged on to Longines Timing and are following that order of go, a couple of scratches there. But this is Vanessa Mannix and Valentino. She's got a couple of rides coming forward today. And definitely one of the names we'll see in the World Cup on Sunday.
It's a partnership that's really coming on. Vanessa's been riding in great form and just really starting to gel with this horse in particular. 2 top 10 finishes at Spruce this summer. Nice finishes here at Thunderbird in June.
Joe, you get to work at Spruce Meadows, so you get to work with lots of different top-level course designers. What's Alan Wade like to work with, and what's his kind of signature moves out there on the sort of course design front?
Well, if I was going to say Alan had any kind of signature, it'd be, in a traditional Alan Wade course, you're going to see 2 Liverpools on course, which is kind of uncommon from a lot of people. But that's definitely like an Alan Wade signature. I'd say like his style's calm, cool, and collected. He never really gets too worked up, and he's a pleasure to work with all the time for sure.
I know a lot of the riders really love his courses.
Yeah, that also makes it very easy to work with him because everybody seems to be your friend when you're working with Alan. So
that helps. Well, Vanessa finishes on 4 today, 73.33, but as you said, Katie, it's a relatively new one for her. She's placed quite well all year, and I mean that wasn't a bad round at all.
No, that was a really solid round. I mean, not that many clears. It's a very top field. I think if you're coming home with 1 rail today, you're going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And a great setup if you're looking to later in the week.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 faults on this course is definitely a respectable score today.
Eric Neve.
Sharp time.
Yeah, exactly. Really covers the ground. This is Eric Neve now. Represents France, Catipso. He's been part of the North American show jumping scene for a number of years now. He's worked quite a lot with Carl Cook over the years as well.
Yeah, he's definitely helped Carl bring his string along to the competitive level at this height.
In the last year or two, I mean, Carl's string, Carl's style, and his success is just growing and growing.
Absolutely.
These these two are due for a win. They were probably the most consistent pair in the North American League last season. They were runners-up at Del Mar, top 5 at Guadalajara, top 10 at Las Vegas, and at Thermal. They really were so close to a win on so many occasions. The closest, of course, came at Del Mar. But every time he would come out, and you couldn't help but root for him because he was so close, and he's really due. This is a great pair.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's had a lot of success and a lot of wins over the years. He's also
definitely
produced some
a beautiful rider to watch.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And he's produced some great horses.
Absolutely.
Let's see if this is going to be our next one. A little rub there on the skinny style.
See if that helps him through these final few fences. A little extra effort there from Katipso.
Yeah, super round. Really nice. 74-1-4. Eric Neve and Katipso jump clear, representing France. Brings us up to 6 now. Mexico, France, and the USA all involved with that jump off against the clock.
Yeah, that was really, he gave that horse a really great ride through the triple there. You know, it looked like he wanted to get the front rail on C, but he kind of held the horse up and really put the distance in there perfectly.
Yeah, it was really nice. We'll see him back a little bit later on then in that jump off against the clock. Lorenzo Farrell next from Mexico. Queen's Darling by Kidam's Ribbon. The triple combinations caused some issues, Joe. I mean, if he were to change it round and have maybe Oxer coming in and then vertical, would that change the question at all?
Yeah, I think, you know, the way we have the combination built today, we have those hurdles on C, which kind of brings the horse's eye down at the end of the triple combination. If we had that reversed, I think it would probably jump a little easier because they would have the advantage of having that hard part done. Instead, we have it the other way to make it a little more difficult. As well, the rails we have on that are very delicate, very light rails today. Makes it much a very difficult task. You have to nail the distances through there perfectly for sure.
That's something else that's changing in the sport as well. The material's getting lighter and lighter.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we see it around the world. Like, it's more common. Like, we used to jump a lot of more 5-meter, really bulky, heavy fences, and probably the biggest, one of the biggest advancements in the sport is how light we are getting with the material in a lot of places.
And with the cups that support the material, is there a depth they have to be, or can they be quite narrow?
No, the minimum depth set by the FEI is 18 millimeters, and but the cups we are using today are mostly 20 millimeters, as we do have quite a bit of more delicate material. And now you'd use more an 18 millimeter cup if you have heavier material or sort of less careful rails, you could say.
You could see that coming out from about 3 or 4 strides away, Katie, couldn't you?
Yeah, she's trying to really hold off of it. Maybe pulled it away a little bit.
Yeah, the horse looks like he's running away with her a bit here at the end of the course.
Well, finishes on 8:75.26. Lorenzo Farrell and Queen's Darling. It's a real science course design now, isn't it? If you think about the way the material, the depth of the cups, it's all these things that people don't actually realise, and you wouldn't know sitting at home that you've got different depths of cups.
Oh no, absolutely. You know, like there's definitely many more hours go into it than a lot of people think. Like we always joke that sometimes some people think we just pull these things out of like a sort of a random course generator, but we actually do have to place every fence, and we put a lot of thought into sort of every kind of aspect we can.
Well, that's Hannah Heidegger now. You could see her just getting some final words of advice as she came forward. She'll be one of the younger riders in the field today. It's DiCaprio RV. She did well in the under-25 series at Vegas last year, and you know she's been on the Californian coast so far this year. Very talented young rider.
Partnered at the ABI level with this horse since last August. Actually debuted internationally right here at Thunderbird.
Over on this side of the world, Joey, a lot of people start off in equitation and hunters. Do the tracks really vary to jumpers? I mean, is that a good way to set them up?
From hunters to jumpers, they definitely vary quite a bit. As you know, the hunter track is basically like as simple as it can be. We want it just a really natural flow from the horse, and it's supposed to represent natural like hunting in the fields. But and then when you start to move into the sort of the jumper equitation, that's when you start to really kind of experience what a jumper track should feel like. And then moving it can make the move into the bigger jumpers easier for a lot of riders when they get that pressure of the going to finals and things like that.
That Oxer just before you come to the combination, is that a real question, or is that just to set them up for the combination?
No, that's definitely one of the biggest questions we have on course with those natural rails and the natural wings. You know, the horses don't get a lot of depth off that.
Yeah.
Off a tight turn, kind of, they're thinking about time allowed, so they kind of come into it. If they come in too early without balancing their horse up and with the Liverpool underneath there, you know, it just draws the horse's eye down, and that front rail becomes quite delicate.
Well, she'll finish on 8 today, 74.85. You know, definitely a combination to keep an eye on, though. Been on really good form recently.
Yeah, you know, just two very light rails there.
Well, we know Alan Wade will be getting lonely without you, Joey, so we'll let you head back down. And
thank you very much. Yeah, we have to get organized for tomorrow.
That's super. Thanks very much, Joey.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So that was Joey Rycroft joining us. He's an FEI International course designer. Building here this week with Alan Wade, who's responsible for the World Equestrian Games at Tryon. So I think a lot of the riders are wanting to get the experience of just jumping another few of his tracks before they head off there. This is Richard Spooner getting us underway now with Arthos R representing the USA. This is another one, you know, we were talking about earlier about them building up strings and stuff, and he's definitely in that position.
Absolutely. He has had some fabulous horses in his career, but some of those top horses, of course, Cristallo and horses like Chivas, that really just kept going for so long. He needed to they needed successors, and it's hard to replace horses like that. I don't think you actually can replace them, but you need who's going to step up, you know, in their absence, and he has certainly found that in the past year, and it's really exciting to see. He actually has a younger horse. Arthos R has been a really great, particularly speed horse for him, but he's got a younger horse named Love coming up later in this class that is, I think, a real nice one. Plus, of course, he's got Quirardo, who ride in the World Cup class this week, and Chatinas, who did World Cup finals last year. So right there is enough to keep you going for quite a while.
He's a real nice guy as well.
He is. He is an all-around horseman, rider, just genuine person. He's someone that you just always want to root for. The success is very well deserved.
He's normally always got a treat for his horse in his pocket as well, and quite often gives them one on the way out the ring.
He'll let them graze at the end of the round. Horses love Richard Spooner.
Well, finishes on 4:73.94 and 4 jumping faults there for Richard and Arthos R. He also goes down to the barn in the morning when they're at home and gives them all a banana. Apparently all his horses love bananas.
Very healthy breakfast.
Healthy breakfast. Good way to start the day. Lots of potassium. You can watch. Just went off camera as he's about to give that horse a treat there, I think. Right, we've got some very nice clears, though, heading through to that jump off against the clock. It's a real strong first round. 56 combinations in total coming forward. Sari Gordon joins us now as Zuru for Israel. I've mentioned strings on a lot of occasions here this afternoon, and she's one really where this is our only kind of top-level horse. She finished 4th in the 2-star at Del Mar. Jumped it at Spruce Meadows with a couple of top 10 finishes. And she's another member of this new team of Israel that's really shaping up to hopefully do some good things. With Daniel Blumen on that team for the World Equestrian Games. Ashley Bond there as well.
Yeah, Ashley will be preparing for WEG right here at Thunderbird. She's here all week with a couple of horses. You've got Alberto Michon, Danielle Goldstein. I mean, it's quite a cast gearing up for Tryon.
Yeah.
And obviously it helps to have a string of horses, not only to relieve the pressure on one, but just for a rider to get more reps in the ring and more experience. But at the end of the day, it just takes one.
Jumps a little bit funny over that big Oxer coming in, and I think, you know, it kind of set her up, and she managed to almost correct all the way through the triple combination and then just ran out of room.
Yeah, it caught up with her a little bit, and then it carried over then to the following oxer.
And finishes on 8 jumping, 1 time for a total of 9 there. Siri Garden a 0, 76.54 and a 9 total. So Eric Neve, Mandy Porter, Carrie Roofer, Alison Robitaille, Eve Jobs and Carlos Hank. That's the clear round efforts that we've seen so far. Long way to go here. 32 gone from the 52 starters. 22 left to go. Bound to see another few clears. This is Katie Edwards coming next with Sotelo, the 11-year-old by Coolidge. She's been jumping in the national divisions as well. This is a horse that normally sticks its tongue out, and he's not letting us down today. Probably get penalised for that in the Hunters, would you?
Yes.
Yeah. But in jumpers, we don't care. As long as they leave the fences up, they can do what they like.
They'd be tying that up in the hunter ring.
I think it'd make a great picture over the fence. Looks like he's really concentrating with his tongue out. Just ran in a little bit deep to the bottom there and continued that down the line as well.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tricky line there, because a few horses have kind of jumped pretty high up over that first oxer, and then the natural reaction is to land and depart, but then you get there so soon to that very careful plank. And we saw a very technical line yesterday in the speed of a Liverpool vertical to a careful plank, which also saw many rails.
Oh, another couple down now as well, so sits on the 16. Skinny comes down as well and just drifts slightly left through the distance. Looks like he's just fighting her a little bit today, so it's going to be 25 in total, 76.74, 24 jumping and a time fault there for Katie Edwards and Sotelo.
Yeah, unfortunately not her day. It is a little bit of a step up for them. As you said, they've done a lot at the national level, and you know, this is a very big step up with the level of competition this week.
A little dance there from the ring crew for some reason. It's nice that they've still got lots of energy, because those guys work incredibly hard. This is Uma O'Neill now for the United States of America. Clockwise of Green Hill Z, it's the 11-year-old stallion by Clearway. Long-time partnership. Some top 10 finishes here last week, you know, jumping at Spruce Meadows at 5-star level in the under 25 series there.
It's great to see partnerships that really come up the ranks together. I mean, these two competed in the North American Junior and Young Rider Championships back in 2015 and 2016. You know, now they're jumping a 4-star World Cup week.
Yeah, they're old friends, these two now. Had a lot of fun together over the years.
That's the first time we've seen the wall come down. Top brick's gonna fall.
Those walls look solid, but actually the tiny bricks on top are ultra delicate.
Nice recovery out of that combination. They do pull A, though.
Sits on 8 then. Work out the wall, first part of the combination, and now that skinny style as well. And in In the end, 16 today for Uma O'Neill. Clockwise of Green Hill Z there, 74-51. It's a total of 16.
You see she's kind of legging her horse forward now. It looked like they just got a bit too to the base of just a few too many of those fences.
There are a lot of related distances out there today, and it looks on screen like you've got all the time in the world, but actually the next question comes at you so quickly. This is Jenna Thompson now. It's a horse called Lou, or Lou 66 is its full name, and it's one that finished 5th in the Grand Prix here last week. Again, picking up some great experience over the summer at Spruce Meadows. She's got other horses on her string like Chili Pepper SM, but this is a relatively new one for her this year. It was produced over in Switzerland and jumped a lot around the European circuits.
They're sitting on a top finish. They had a really great season at Spruce Meadows. It was really time faults that kept them just out of the money there. They kept the jumps up on more than one occasion with just a single time fault. And the same thing happened in three-star competition here at Thunderbird. They're just sitting, they're very close to putting it all together.
Yeah, just knocking at the door. And I think that comes from mileage, doesn't it? Making that transition from just the odd time fault or just the odd rail to success.
Absolutely. It's just the tiny details that can make such a difference. And it's really near impossible to replicate ring experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no way to get that mileage other than being in the ring. I've heard a few of the riders say, you know, jumping someone like Alan's Wade's courses, over the course of the week, the horses finish better than they started.
Yes.
And I think that's important. A little bit steady today as well, so 8 jumping one time, 78.41 there for Jenna Thompson and Lou, representing Canada. And again, you know, all the faults we've seen so far have really just been rails all over the place. We've not really had any big refusals, no crashes, no smashes.
No, very fair track.
Casey Ament now with Dexter R. He's a 10-year-old stallion with some good lines in there, including Contender. We're starting to see quite a few new stallions popping up as well. I think it's a real interesting time for horse breeding.
It really is. I know we were chatting about it the other day, the real influence of a stallion versus the influence of a mare in different disciplines, the sheer numbers and statistics. It's a fascinating game.
Yeah, you could really make that your life's work now, just having a look at breeding and genetics.
You really could, but there's one thing that you just can't reproduce, and that's heart.
Yeah, yeah. And luck.
That is for sure.
Well, again, she was placed well here last week. For the last couple of years, you know, she's had other horses, Soren Z, Quasimada de Busion Z. This is a new one for her this year.
Coming out of the turn there again, this line is set at a very unique angle. You try to jump it a little bit on an angle and you end up turning in the air. It is a big oxer with those natural rails.
Nicely down there. Comes round towards the final line, just on the 4. Four for jumping and 1 for time, 77.31. 5's the total today for Casey and Dexter R.
Another nice round. I actually thought her track was quite nice, but the horse just naturally picks up a little bit of extra time because he spends a good amount of that time in the air.
Charlie Jacobs is where we turn to next for the United States of America, the 12-year-old mare, Ksenia S. Another one that's been to World Cup finals in the past.
The past 2 years, this mare has really been a great consistent competitor for Charlie. Also part of the winning Nations Cup team last year at Spruce Meadows.
Quick reminder as well, we are live on Facebook Live. We're also live on YouTube as well. And getting joined with the conversation. Daniel Coyle's watching at the minute. Connie Sawyer as well. Madeline Lopez. Matthew Farm. All watching on Facebook Live here this afternoon. If you've got any questions or anything that you want to add to the conversation, great to have you with us. Feel free to sort of, really get involved with this. Charlie really heavily involved with not just this sport.
He is the big part of the Boston Bruins, CEO of that historic original 6 hockey team. He's constantly commuting back and forth. He's an incredible businessman. And it's amazing how he manages it all, really, to compete at this level of the sport and to go to World Cup finals. I'm pretty sure last year during World Cup finals, the Bruins were in the playoffs. I cannot imagine. I'm pretty sure he was watching some of the playoffs in between rounds there in Paris.
Out in the warm-up with his phone. Yeah, it was a stressful week. You can see this horse just pulling a little bit. He's really using his upper body to say, come back, listen to me. But what a super round, 75-62 there. Charlie Jacobs, Cassinia S, heads through towards that jump off against the clock.
That mare is so athletic, but she's very strong. Charlie really has a great presence to be still and just so strong with that upper body to kind of just keep her in check, and she does the rest with her great jumping.
Well, it's going to be an exciting jump off when we get there, so really nice combination still to come forward in round number 1. Then of course we get to see them come back and ride against the clock. Ashley Bond goes next in. Chela Lucia representing Israel.
She's got her new team coat for Israel this week, preparing for the World Equestrian Games. This is the mare that she plans to compete at Tryon. Just such a consistent competitor. Came back this year from a bit of time off. I know Ashley was so excited to have her back in the string, and she really does have quite a formidable group of horses at the moment.
I was chatting to her this morning and we were talking about her rounds from yesterday, and I discovered that off the boil must be a European term because she'd never heard of it before. We were talking about how this horse went yesterday, and I said, it's been going really well recently, it's just been a bit off the boil. And she had no idea what I was talking about. But it just wasn't itself yesterday, was what I meant. It just wasn't quite performing as you'd expect.
I'm with her. I've never heard that
You've
term
never
before.
heard that?
No.
I must avoid it in future.
I've learned a few European terms. I think my favorite is it was a cracker of a round.
It's a cracker. It's a stellar round.
That's a new one.
The northwest of England would say it was a belter of a round. There's another one for you. See her just pulling a little bit here and actually having to work really hard. Corrects well down that final line, but will finish on 9 today, 76-25.
She didn't really have much of a choice to get that time penalty added to the score. She just had to fight to get the horse back the entire way around. And obviously you want a horse to take you, but not to pull you past the fence.
Yeah. We'll find out if that set her up for Sunday. There's not any international competitions on here tomorrow, so they've got the choice of giving them a day off or just a little bit of light work or doing what needs to be done, I think, just to get ready for the first leg of the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup here.
No international classes tomorrow, but there is a really great program that Thunderbird puts on here that'll take place tomorrow. It's the Maplewood Farm Young Horse Showcase, and they have classes for 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, and they work and build up for these finals. They get to compete on this beautiful grass field here at the Grand Prix Ring, and it's a great program to really promote breeding in North America.
Jad Dana comes next with Carnival for the team at Spruce Meadows. Jad, though, representing Lebanon. you know what else is on tomorrow, Katie? T-Bird's Got Talent.
It is.
It is 5 o'clock tomorrow.
What is your talent? Are you entering?
No.
I think I'll watch with you.
Have you got anything we could sign you up for?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
Nothing that I think you would actually find particularly talented.
Okay. Well, hopefully we've got some singers or comedians or something out there. Jadana just sitting on 8 faults now. He's had a busy year so far, of course, competing where he's based at Spruce Meadows with Kelly Bricks and the Spruce Meadows team, the horse program there. He's also been travelling, jumping in Europe a little bit, in Kentucky and Tryon. Just not having the round he was hoping for with this little horse today. You can see him working quite hard down the distances.
Yeah. He is quite accomplished. His family, of course, has a riding school in Lebanon. His 2 brothers are champions. He, too, is a champion. In fact, he won the Lebanese championship 5 times by the time he was 18 years old.
I never knew Lebanon had a championship, so there we go. I think he's going to decide to, it gives his signal to the jury and elects to retire. He's in a great place now, and he's got access to some really nice horses at Spruce Meadows, and Kelly Bricks, who is successful in her own right, has had a baby quite recently, and it's been a lucky thing for him, really, because he's got some wonderful horses to ride, and she gets to be involved from the sidelines as well.
Absolutely, and he's going to make a decision there truly based on horsemanship, and he'll save his ride there for another day.
See Carlos Sanguera there just getting himself organised. He's already clear actually with Market Aminka. We saw him quite near the beginning of the competition. Now comes back with a horse called Sunshine. It's nice to have a name you can pronounce. You can never have enough sunshine.
As a Floridian, I can 100% agree with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been another very productive mount for Carlos. They just made their international debut last summer. It's a former ride, actually, of Joseph Verlooy of Belgium. Nice finishes at Spruce Meadows this year, but not starting out the way that they'd probably like to today.
Yeah, really frustrating when you have those early rails. Then you make the decision whether the horse needs the experience and the mileage, or whether you sort of call it a day. And the riders know that. I mean, it's just part of the program. They plan the horse's schedule so carefully, the horse's education so carefully.
100%. It really is such a mental game. There's so much planning that goes into effect, and so much that goes on behind the scenes before you ever come into a show ring. Then, of course, after you have a couple of rails, it's how are you going to respond if you do continue? Do you put it out of your mind and you just continue to ride the course? Really, you've got nothing to lose at this point. Or do you kind of let that affect you the rest of the way around? Obviously, you can't let that happen if you want to give your horse a good experience.
Margaret Shaw is watching from New Zealand on Facebook Live. Another one coming down there. Finishes on 12, jumping 1 time, fault total of 13.76.70. Carlos Sanguera there with Sunshine from Mexico.
Still in it, though, already clear with his first ride.
Yeah, we've got about 16 combinations still to come forwards here in round 1. Then, of course, we join the jump off against the clock as well. Sean Cassidy back with another one of his string. This is Campatillo. Second ride for him here, the 11-year-old by Katoki.
Debuted internationally just last month in July. Some nice finishes at Del Mar at the 2-star level, and here at Thunderbird last week in 3-star competition. Great job of holding off there to that plank.
That plank really is tiny, isn't it? There's nothing of it.
Light as a feather.
careful into there. Little rub. That was lucky.
Oh.
Let's take a little check into there as well.
Great adjustment.
Skinny could be interesting. Let's see how he does in here. Yeah, no issues at all. I have to say he's ridden this really well.
Yeah.
Hold it together. Time allowed 76, no issues there. And he is over that finish line, 72.94. We're going to be adding Sean Cassidy to our jump-off list here with Campitello. Yeah, he gave that a stellar ride all the way round.
Talk about a mental game and how you respond. He came out and had 3 rails with his first ride, and he comes out here, learns from those mistakes, corrects them, and a lovely clear round.
And we'll see him back a little bit later. He's in some very good company. We've got some quick horses through to that jump off against the clock. Eve Jobs joining us now. New one for her. Took over the ride at the beginning of the summer. It's an old one of Michael Hughes. Christopher Kaufmann of Germany jumped it last year on the European circuit, and this is the first show in North America for this combination. It's a horse that's been based over in Europe, jumping at Kanoka and stuff. So she rode it here last week, so it was actually her second show in North America. I think this is a real promising horse for her. Just a 9-year-old. It's by Limbus.
I saw this horse for the first time yesterday and was so impressed. This looks like a really lovely horse. It's got great form, a lovely canter. And another rider here in Eve who, from last year to this year, the riding is so much improved. Just so much more confident in the saddle, and I look for big things from these two.
It's got a real genuine, honest face, this horse.
Yeah.
If that's possible.
Absolutely. I think when I look at a horse, the first thing that I look for, obviously outside of seeing a horse jump, but on the ground, is a kind eye.
Yeah. If you just keep an eye on his ears, I mean, he's so focused all the way around. He's just got a really kind look about him.
He's so zoned in.
Yeah. And it's a horse that she can afford to just sit nice and quiet and just let the fence come to her.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to fight, doesn't have to push. And she's picking up a time fault today, but that's a brand new horse. It's only been over here a couple of weeks from Europe, and to finish with a time fault today, I mean, that's an achievement.
That was beautiful. That was just so lovely to watch. I think maybe it even just lulled her in a little bit with that time fault, because it was just so pleasant.
Looks like it'd be a real enjoyable horse to sit on and just let it float around the course. And I'm sure we'll see her float around a little bit faster in a few weeks' time as well, but getting to know each other still, and amazing round there from Eve. Well, we move on. Alison Robitaille coming forward next then. This is an 8-year-old. Nice to see some new young stock coming through these competitions as well. It's called Sedan D. It's Alison Robitaille of the USA. A lot of the young stock still coming over from Europe, but I think you're starting to breed a few more young horses here in the US.
They definitely are. It's exciting, and it's definitely something that we need to promote in North America.
I think the issue is here, it's just so expensive over here. I think that's why, the professionals even are still buying in their horses from Europe as, 3-year-olds, when all that kind of work's done.
Yes, it's not easy. This is a horse that's getting a lot of really valuable reps and just experience in the ring. Alison jumped it in both classes yesterday, the meter 40 and meter 45.
It's interesting that you don't breed that many horses over here, but you've got some great young horse series, like the young horse series here at Thunderbird. At San Juan Capistrano at the Blenheim events, they do some nice young horse stuff.
Yeah, there's a Classic Champion series of young horses, the Young Jumper Championships. I think it's just because people realize that maybe it's not as big of an industry as it should be over here, and they're trying to incentivize it.
Yeah. This is just having a few rails on course here. A little touch steady as well, but again, you know, it's just an 8-year-old. 78.99 the time there for Alison Robitaille. 3 down to finish on 12 jumping and a time fault there.
And you know it's not the height that's the issue, it's just the rideability and getting more familiar and being able to adjust and recognize and ride through those more technical questions.
Just getting the mileage together, isn't it?
Yep.
When they're 8 years old. And I think each time you come in the ring, you can then re-establish your plan. Connor Swale comes next. GK Coco Chanel. What a great servant this horse has been to him. Horse we saw jump here just yesterday.
Yeah, this horse actually came in yesterday and spooked on the outside rail at the first jump. Very uncharacteristic, and Connor said, you know, it's sport, it happens. Then he comes back and he wins the class. But this horse has certainly been a great one for him.
And I'd say he's one of the strong contenders looking ahead to the Longines FEI World Cup jumping qualifier here on Sunday.
Absolutely. He's the defending champion. That was with a horse named Flower, and he brings in an equally competitive group of horses this year.
I have to say the ground here has been jumping fantastically well here today.
It has. It's been quite dry. Hasn't been a lot of rain, and the field looks fantastic. It's held up so well, and that's a big testament to the maintenance crew as well.
So a couple of rails down so far on course for Connor. Yeah, they haven't had rain for months here, and there's quite a few forest fires and stuff going on, and a little bit of smog still in the skies here. And actually this competition was meant to be an hour later, and that was the main reason for moving it up an hour today, because, you know, it was felt with the smog in the air, there's not quite as much daylight coming through the clouds. So they wanted, with the number of starters, just to make sure everyone got a fair chance without too many shadows out there, and with enough daylight to jump as well. 3 down, so it's 12 here today for Connor Swale. GK Coco Chanel, 75.31. Yeah, he will be one of the ones that feature on Sunday. I'm not sure if it's going to be that horse that he brings in, though.
He said he plans to jump Rubens again. He was giving him today off and keeping it light until Sunday. And Connor just giving somebody else a chance today because he has won 4 classes here in the past 2 weeks.
Carl Cook comes next. Kalu, 11-year-old gelding by Casal. So he's had a real busy day. He had 3 horses in the meter 40 national division earlier. He finished 1st, 3rd and 4th with those. So it's had not a bad day at the office so far, really.
No, I'd assume this might just be icing on the cake. He's had a great year.
Well, he got married. That's not a bad
right.
year.
Great summer, marrying longtime girlfriend Haley Cuoco. That wedding looked absolutely beautiful. That was one of the most beautiful wedding photos that I've ever seen.
And because they've both got the same initials, they did a KC squared logo and everything.
Fantastic.
We were talking about married life yesterday when I bumped into him, and he was saying that he's now got a callus underneath where his wedding ring goes, because when you ride and you've got a wedding ring on, I've got a huge callus on my hand that I think will be there forever.
Do you keep it on then when you ride, or you take it on and off every time?
On and off now.
Yeah.
It nips. And I need all the help. Lose things.
That is not something you want to lose.
I'd never hear the end of it. I'm just having a couple down here today, and back bar comes down there. The Longines FEI. So he will finish on 12.74.33, but it's a really exciting time for Carl Cook, who's just been building and building and building with that string.
Absolutely, and again, you see just the horses getting a little bit strong. Some of them haven't been out yet this week. It's a bit later in the day, and with courses like these, they tend to get you build as you go, and it gets tougher and tougher to kind of keep things reined in and keep that rideability there when the courses get more challenging and the endurance is tested toward the end of the course and you're getting a bit tired.
Well, not too many left to come here in round number 1. Got some very quick horses coming forward for the jump off already. And Antonio Mauro normally quick against the clock. This is Haskos, the 11-year-old. Antonio representing Mexico as he has done at the top level for many years now.
It's another pair that you probably saw quite a bit of at Spruce Meadows.
Always there. He's a regular visitor. He's in the placings on so many occasions as well. He's really consistent.
This horse particularly showed just so much improvement. If you just look at the results, it just got better and better and built throughout the circuit, which is what you want to see. That culminated with a top 10 finish in the Pepsi Challenge. That was a meter 50 ranking class just like this one today.
Well, we're on 8 clears at this stage. And that first fence is a Just World fence, and they donate some money every time someone jumps it clear. And I think it's really nice of them to make it the first fence and not like the skinny style or the last part of the combination or something.
That's right, and they didn't make it a very difficult first fence. I don't think it's fallen yet. Maybe once.
Yeah, I think once. So we'll be raising lots of money in Just World, a great charity. So good to see some money raised for that one. This is off to a good start here today for Antonio. Zamabella's watching from Sudan. Real international sport, international audience. Started off well and now sitting on those 8 faults.
Oh, good fight there through that final line.
75.08. He's got a lot of top international experience, Antonio. It's a horse that's really coming together, but today finishing on the 8 faults, 75.08. So remaining on those 8 clears at this stage. Ashley Bond's got another one to come. Imo O'Neill, Richard Spooner with his nice 8-year-old. Vanessa Mannix, her top horse Seamus still to come as well. And this is Mai Tai coming forward next. Second ride of Carrie Ruffer. Another one that spent the summer at Spruce Meadows. It's a great circuit if you're riding at the top level because you can jump 4 or 5-star shows back to back.
They've had 2 weeks of competition here at Thunderbird, and I think, too, that's been great for the riders, particularly ones preparing for the World Cup this week because they can jump a good bit of classes last week, see where they're at, and then plan accordingly how they want to have their horse peak here on Sunday. These two having a nice week so far, making the top 5 in yesterday's Maui Gym welcome stake.
Just looking a little bit fresh as he landed there and then just taking that rail down coming into that first line, or second line.
This is a fast horse, great speed horse.
Carrie's already clear with Georgie Dowvery. Artisan Farms fence comes down as well, so sits on 8.
Looks like she's going to elect to just call it a day here.
Yeah, brings him back to trot, gives him a nice pat. And says, yeah, we're going to save this one for another day. Carrie Ruffer there with Mai Tai retiring. See her later, though, with Georgie Dowvery in that jump off against the clock. Mary Grant says, good morning from Perth, Australia. Morning, Mary. Good to have you with us. Good to have you watching here on the FEI Jumping Facebook page. We're on FEI Jumping YouTube and on Facebook as well. Great to have you all with us. It's amazing how the time differences around the world. It's morning there, it's afternoon here, and it's the middle of the night back in the time zone I was in a few days ago. It's all very confusing. We sit on 8 clears at the moment. Sean Cassidy, Charlie Jacobs, Eric Neve, Mandy Porter, Carrie Roofer, Alison Robitaille, Eve Jobs, and Carlos Hank as well. Juan Jose Zendias is next. Just Nice. Van Het Indehoff, the name of the horse that he brings forward. This 9-year-old mare represents Mexico. One of the athletes that went to the youth championships. And I think he's going to be, you know, one of the real stars of jumping for Mexico. It's not going to be too long till he's at the Olympics.
Absolutely. He already won 2 ranking classes at Spruce this summer, second in another.
Yeah, he was the under-25 champion at Spruce.
And he's really come up the ranks with this horse. Juan started riding him 2 years ago. The horse was still doing the young jumper classes. He was just 21. They really both show a lot of promise for bigger things.
He didn't have a chance there after that around the corner. There was just nothing he could do to get him back.
Great reaction there through the triple combination. Horse just looked a little bit sticky.
I'm disappointed because he's so quick against the clock. He'd have been very exciting to watch. Just rolls that skinny style as well. So finishes on 8 jumping faults. 71-72. 8 for Juan Jose Zendias. And Just Nice Van Het Indehoff.
Just 5 to go now. If you got one more chance to donate to this World International.
So we're still on the 8 clears that you said we were going to get. I said 12, and then Joey, one of our course designers, came up. He thought 12. I think Niall Nassar was more with you, though, between 8 and 10.
Yep. We've still got a few more, though. 6 left to jump and some very nice pairs.
Looks like I might be buying dinner tonight.
I'll take that.
Vanessa Mannix returning then. A horse called Seamus. It's a horse she's had for quite a while now, and you know she knows it really well. It's been so successful for her, and it's been really reliable as well.
Absolutely. They've had a great summer. Top 10 the 2-star Grand Prix at Caledon in May. Top 5 at Spruce Meadows. Top finishes here at Thunderbird. Very, very reliable horse. But I will take responsibility for that rail. For just jinxing her.
Yeah, it was unlucky. Quite a few have had that down, actually. I suppose if you have an early rail, depending on the horse you're riding, you can then try and kind of welly on a little bit and try and be one of the fastest 4s and pick up some good prize money. You can see her just opening up a little bit as she came around the corner there, so maybe she's got that in the back of her mind.
Unfortunately, an extra rail makes a big difference.
Heidi Mello's watching on Facebook as well. She's a FEI farrier and hates being called a blacksmith, so of course I always call her a blacksmith. She takes that skinny style down. Oh, and the Oxer as well. This is not like this combination, you know, as you said, Katie, you know, the success they had at Spruce Meadows, you'd expect them to come in and be a strong contender today. But we'll finish on 20, 74-20 there for Vanessa Mannix and Seamus.
She still gives her horse a couple of pats there. If that's just the sport any day, and it's just not theirs today.
James Sullivan says, can we get a special shout out to the cameramen working at this event? Peter Leo, Jin Yong and Rennie. There you go.
Well, thank you to them.
Thank you to them. Just keep pointing the cameras at the horses. So that's Vanessa just making her way out. And we'll be finding Lorenzo O'Farrell out there somewhere in just a sec. There she is. Lorenzo O'Farrell coming next to go. Pecan St. Denis, 15-year-old stallion. Long-time partners, these two.
Yeah, they've been jumping international classes together since 2012. Know each other inside and out. Had a great spring in Mexico at Jalapa. They made the top 10 in every 5-star ranking class that they jumped.
She's done exactly the same as Vanessa there. Had the rail down on 2 and then a real hard rub on that delicate plank at 3.
This horse really launches off the ground.
It's quite an angle she came in there. Just holding it together. 2 efforts left. Be cautious of that time allowed, and then another rail comes down as well. She's going to pick up a few time faults here. 8 jumping in just 1 time. 9 total. 77.63 for Lorenzo Farrell, representing Mexico. So staying on those 8 clears at this stage. It's going to be very annoying if you were right, Katie.
Well, we've got 3 left. We're on 8 clears. So there's still a chance that we could be closer to your number.
Come on, Richard. Richard Spooner now for the USA. It's an 8-year-old stallion. Very traditional, but great breeding of Heartbreaker. It's a horse called Love, which you've got to love.
And I said that to him yesterday, completely unintentional. I was like, I really love the Love horse. I was, wow, I did not mean to say that.
It's a whole lot of love.
But this is a cool horse. Just made international debut at Spruce. 2 top 12 finishes. Quick horse, too, and just a great match for the master of faster.
The only thing he's having an issue with this horse so far is being able to turn. But it's starting to get better. But when he first brought it out at Spruce Meadows, he was really struggling to get it to turn. It just seems quite set in its head and neck. But, you know, as an 8-year-old, I mean, I think this is such an exciting prospect.
Absolutely. You can see he's fighting for a bit of control there.
And that's not like him. You know, it's not like him to see him that sort of animated with his hands, and he is going to call it a day there, because jumping this height when you don't feel like you've got control is a real scary thing to do.
Yeah, that's not a great feeling.
But, you know, some riders would be, you know, pulling their horse's head off. He used his contact, then relaxed and gave it a nice pat.
And still testing there with just a half halt and lice.
And that's what a great horseman he is.
Yeah, he's not going to fight through it. He wants to give the horse a good, positive experience.
Yeah. It's all about education, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that really is a horse to watch.
Emma O'Neill back with a new one, Sunvano. She had Clockwise of Green Hill Z for many years, and now starting to add another one to her roster. Let's see if she can get this one through.
This is another newer combination to the FEI level. As a pair, they debuted internationally at Spruce in July. They're looking for their first top 10 international finish.
Off to a good start. Hopefully that doesn't jinx her.
Well, the
Yes,
score is off. They had the plank down earlier too. I think it should be on 8.
part of the combination coming down now as well, so 12. Yeah, it's up to 12 now. Just fighting Shunta. I think she was quite sensible to circle there.
Yeah.
Just sort of ran out of room trying to correct and straighten up.
Absolutely. They spun out there. That wouldn't have been a good jump. And at that point, when you're on 12, the better thing is to just school and end on a good note.
And not kill yourself.
Absolutely.
19 today for Emma O'Neill, 86.40, 19 total for them in round number 1. Again, with a bit more mileage, though, I think that's going to be quite nice.
Absolutely. There were some very nice parts to that course and just more of the technical challenges just showing up for them.
It's been a real interesting competition because we have seen the experienced combinations and we have seen the new partnerships, which is really nice. This is Ashley Bond then. She's going to be last to go today, back with another one, a horse called Ace of Hearts. And again, just a young one, just 8 years old, this stallion.
Another brand new and exciting young prospect for her. Was brought up by Gregory Wathele.
Just running on a little bit long and flat here, and there doesn't seem much of it to take a check. It's almost like a pony at the moment, the way it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely more of that lighter, quick type.
Ash has had a few horses like this over the years.
It definitely suits her. She's a fast rider. And it looks like she's just going to call it a day. Another young one. They just debuted internationally here last week, so this is a big step up.
I think that was a good place to end as well, because the way it was going and the way it was pulling her, you didn't want to go down that combination.
Right.
I don't think it would have had a good experience down there, so she quite sensibly decides to call it a day. But she's got some nice horses. She's competing for Israel at the World Equestrian Games, and I'm sure we'll see her back here as the weekend progresses at Thunderbird Show Park. It is going to be 8 clears that does progress through. You know, Katie at the beginning did say 8 clears. I thought 12. To back me up, though, Joey Rycroft, our course designer, who's assisting Alan Wade, he thought 12 as well. So I will have to tell him that he was wrong and you were right.
Well, you know, Alan Wade, if you ever ask Alan Wade how many clears he thinks he's going to see, he's going to give you the same exact answer, in that he never designs with a number in mind.
Absolutely. Well, there's the clears, and there's the result for the rest in round 1 as well. But it's going to be Eve Jobs, Alison Robitaille, Carrie Ruffer, Mandy Porter, Eric Navee, Charlie Jacobs, Carlos Hank, and Sean Cassidy. So that's the runners heading through there towards that jump off against the clock. Who's your money on?
Oh, that's a nice field. I'm going to be either Mandy Porter or Carlos Hank.
Yeah, I would probably pick Carlos, I think, if I had to pick one. I think it's quite a wide open field, though.
It's a very evenly matched field.
It's going to be interesting. So our course designers are getting us set and ready for that jump off against the clock. They're going to be faced with a shorter track, and we're going to be looking for them to turn that little bit tighter and go that little bit quicker. We'll have a look at that jump off track as well in just a couple of seconds' time. So do stay with us. We'll hand things back over to Alan Wade, Joey Rycroft. That's our course designing team. They're getting us set with the incredible ring crew here, and then we'll be back underway for that jump off in just a couple of minutes' time.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget we're calling all talent as I come on to perform in the first annual Fever Got Talent show for all skills and all ages. The show will be tomorrow around 5 o'clock at the Timber Frame, right after the groom's class. Still room if you have an individual talent or part of a group that knows how to put on a good story. That's a good show. We'll be judging on this entertainment value of awesome prizes and fun and entertainment to be had. That's right up the top here trailer. Brand new, let's go here. Fever Got Talent. Yeah, you can see it there on the big board, of course. Winning the first annual Fever Got Talent. Talent show for all ages and skill levels. Happening tomorrow at 5 p.m. You can once again sign up with our concierge machine and or individuals. Any talent are welcome. Even if it's just blowing the bubble. Big about 7 minutes away from the top of the order. Let's go over the course here designed by Jump off line starts on the 15 north of the right straight up the field with an undercut number 16 for those driving the ball this way. Standard will be later. Left hand fullback here to the key element of the triple combination of the
down to the T-Bird Bears. That's number 9 on the right-hand lead. A quick rollback to the fence to cause a few issues for our riders in the first round. The T-Bird skinny fence. Quiet ride up to number 11, the old school Thunder fence. And then finishing on fence number 13, Gallop down to the Liverpool. And the Steelcraft Doors product sponsored fence. It's the Steelcraft Doors Cup. We're had such a pleasure to have Steelcraft Doors, a proud sponsor here, as we're just moments away. Good jump off. Be sure to join us this Sunday for FEI World Cup Jumping Vancouver right here in Langley. first World Cup qualifying events on the road to Gothenburg, Sweden, for the World Cup Finals in 2019. We're just about 5 minutes away from the top of the order for the jump off. Best of luck to those riders. 5-minute ball, top of the order. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, a 9 o'clock start time. 9 o'clock start time tomorrow morning with the U25 class. 9 o'clock start tomorrow morning with the U25.
Preparations underway. We're getting set for the jump off against the clock here in the Steelcraft Door Products Cup. $75,000 in the prize fund. Very strong field, over 50 combinations in round one, and it's 8 combinations that return. So we've got Eve Jobs, Alison Robitaille, Carrie Ruffer, Mandy Porter, Charlie Jacobs and Sean Cassidy for the United States of America, Eric Neve in there for France, and Carlos Sanguero for Mexico coming forward as well. A real testing track in the first round, Katie, and it's quite a nice jump-off track.
It really is. I think we're going to see some fast ones here. A lot of options. They're actually going to start with 2 brand new fences on course. That will be the black and white T-Bird Anniversary Oxer there is identified as fence 15, and then they'll gallop up to the Tidball Legacy Vertical, and that is 16. From there, it's a left-hand turn. They'll be jumping what was a triple combination, now just vertical Oxer of the double. And then it'll be straight 9-10, and that will be the beautiful wildlife kind of polar bear oxer there. Beautiful photography on that fence. And then fence 10 and 11, that was a skinny. Now it's a bit wider there, just a vertical, and there to the next kind of totem pole oxer, and then a final gallop there to the Steelcraft Doors vertical Liverpool.
Now it's interesting because a lot of the clears came early on in the competition, and that was about 2 hours ago. So really, when you're warming up this jump off, it's almost like you're warming up for the very first time.
Absolutely, you're starting from scratch a bit, and there's a very fine line of, you know, waking your horse up and getting them a bit too quiet after they've already been out. So it's very horse specific there as you're warming back up.
And for those that are new to the sport, our athletes get a chance to inspect this course before they start the first round. They don't get to come back and inspect for the jump off. Do you think when they're walking that they do have a look at the jump off track, or is that tempting fate?
I think maybe some riders have a superstition there that you don't want to think too far ahead, but you definitely have to walk the number if you're going to think about being competitive in the class. It's a good habit to get into, of just walking both tracks from the get-go.
Well, our first combination then have made their final preparations and have come through the archway here, ready to get us underway in the jump off of the $75,000 Steelcraft Door Products Cup. 8 combinations coming back in total, and with some very quick ones in the wings waiting to come forward. Never easy going first, but Carlos Hank's been on top form. Marcus Harminka's a horse that he knows really well, so this is going to be a great pathfinder for us.
Yes, and it becomes such a mental game when you're first up. Obviously, it's not the ideal position you want to be in, but if you can put the pressure on with a fast enough clear round, it just puts that much more pressure on everybody else.
Yeah, you want to dare them, don't you? Dare them to try and catch you. So starting over a new fence here.
It is a new fence, completely new line, so you really do have to walk this track when you're walking the first round.
Came down there on 8, but then has it down. Down a jump off, you really want to just, you know, push on and try and be a fast 4 fault. So if you're going to have a rail, having it early on is a good place to have it, I suppose.
Looks like, yep, he's got a second one too. He's going to pull the front rail at 9.
It's confused us because it was a skinny, and it's now put on some weight. So sits on 8 then. And it's going to be 37.97. That's going to be the time in 8 jumping there for Carlos Sanguera and Marcus Arminka. That was a shame there.
Yeah, a little bit. Not what he was looking for, but not many clears today. He's still going to get a nice little paycheck to bring home. A nice finish there. Tough course today.
Now this is one that just kind of floated round and actually made it look quite easy in the first round. So this is going to be interesting. Steve Jobs and a relatively new one on her string called Venue, representing the USA.
Eva's had a sensational day, clear on this horse, and then with the brand new mount, she just has a time fall, just riding in great form. Let's see how she does when she picks up the pace.
Some quick ones to come. Eric Neve, Mandy Porter, Carrie Ruffer, Charlie Jacobs coming near the end.
The 8 is almost a bit quiet for her.
See if she just pushes on down towards this final fence now. Say she's gone for a kind of economic round, quite a nice smooth round. It didn't gallop. It's 38.55 there for Eve Jobs. I mean, a sensational double clear today that definitely has left some doors open.
Yeah, she did 13 strides to the last and was definitely pulling there at the end. It is a careful vertical with the Liverpool set under it, but if you want to go for it, you're going to see riders coming at that final fence a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Carrie Ruffer now, Georgie Dowry, another representative of Team USA. She had this one in the first round, obviously, but also another horse called Mai Tai. And this is a horse that she really trusts. They've been together a number of years now.
You definitely saw the experienced pairs kind of rising to the top in this class.
So 38.55 is the time to beat.
Georgie kind of kicks up his heels a bit. It might have even helped them in that line, though, because it's not a super long line, and that gave her a little bit of extra space.
It did. Just takes the front bar off that Oxer now, so sits on 4. Comes down towards that final line. And just one coming down. 39.25 is the time, so just slightly steadier than Eve as well, but picks up that one rail. Goes into second at the early stage. Carrie Ruffer, Georgie Dowry for the United States of America. See, she's still smiling though, and I think she'll be quite happy with that.
It's a good day. Actually, looking here at the order, it appears Alison Robitaille has withdrawn from consideration for the jump off today with Ace. She'll be certainly saving him for the World Cup class on Sunday.
So she automatically takes 8th place then. And Mandy Porter joins us now with Milano, representing the United States of America. Mandy's had a successful summer with her string of horses, and this could definitely be in contention today.
These two have won some very big classes. They know what it takes. We'll see how much she pushes the envelope, also thinking ahead to Sunday.
It's a bit of a management game, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Got to decide your plan and then stick with it. She's going for a few quite tight turns. I mean, that was a nice angle coming through there. And just takes that front bar again.
You can really roll through that double. And then it kind of catches up as well, creating a domino effect to the following oxer. So she'll slow up now.
Well, Eve Jobs has got a nervous wait now. Some quick ones still to come, but she's posted that double clear effort. And for Mandy, she's going to finish on 8 today, 40.83 and 8 jumping faults to take her into 4th place. Eve Jobs leads the way, Carrie Roofer currently sitting in 2nd. And of course we just saw Mandy Porter pop into 4th place, 4th at the moment.
Yeah, with Allison withdrawing from the jump off, it really proves to be a profitable strategy for Eve.
Yeah, oh absolutely. Eric Neve Katipso for France now. Yeah, I mean, she knew if she just gets a nice economic double clear, you're going to pick up a good placing. Probably top 3 with a jump off of 7 with 1 withdrawing.
There's only 3 left to jump.
Yeah. She's going to have a good finish today. Right, let's see what Eric can do. He's certainly been knocking at the door. Lots of 2nd place finishes recently. Let's see if he can go one better.
He does 11 back to the double. That was nicely done.
Eve was 21 landing over this next fence. So he's maybe just a touch up on the clock here. Just got to keep thinking forwards. And then really open
he's
up.
Going.
Open up down towards that final fence. 38.55, time to beat.
12.
He's done it.
Got it.
38.03 the time for Eric Neve and Katipso, heading straight to the top of our leaderboard there. So that sets a new challenge. 38.03 becoming that time to beat here. France now flying the flag at the top. Eve Jobs going down towards 2nd place at this stage.
Now, he didn't go all out because he too will be thinking about Sunday, but
Yeah.
It was a very efficient round.
And I think that's all it's going to take today. Well, Sean Cassidy still got a quick one to come. Charlie Jacobs, of course. Cassenger S is next for the United States of America. And this is a combination that's got that experience.
They certainly do. This is going to be very tempting for Charlie because he too will be thinking about Sunday. But there's a door open here and a very nice $75,000 purse today.
Yeah, absolutely. Even now with that slightly faster time, 38.03, you wouldn't have to gallop. Just keep moving forward, keep taking the tight turns. You can be quite sensible about it. Oh, lucky coming in there.
Yeah, and he does 13. Bit of a delayed rail there.
Yeah, you could.
And not quite happy there with the stride he was on.
That was the sort of domino effect that you mentioned earlier. You know, he had that rub coming in because he was slightly too long, and then there wasn't the space in the middle to then get him back, and that would have been the case also when he came down towards that oxer.
Yep.
So I think he was sensible there. Just pops in the circle, rebalances, get the horse back where he wants it to be.
He'll just school the rest of the way.
Jumps the final fence, will finish on 17 today, 56.15, and a 17 total there for Charlie Jacobs. So goes 6, and of course guaranteed to be 6th or 7th. So still going to end up with a really good finish.
Absolutely. Nice day at the office.
Yeah, some nice prize money for that one, and perhaps actually set him up for Sunday quite well. Sean Cassidy comes forward next. He's had some great education over the years with some of the biggest names in the business. Got some nice horses at the moment. Campetilo is our last to go. Can he beat that leading time? We're going to have to wait and see. Don't think you can rule him out, though.
Absolutely not. He's going to go for it in this class. But this is a newer partnership, newer to the international level, so it's going to be interesting to see how comfortable he feels with the risks that he chooses to take.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to do anything crazy.
No, exactly. I think you can make that decision now. Do you want to try and win this competition, or just go for a clear within the time allowed and finish third? You know, that really depends on your strategy, what you're going to be doing on Sunday, the horse that you've got, how much you want the money. And I think some athletes do go into that depth of thought, and others just go in and do the best round that they and the horse possibly can. And that comes down to personality.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just can't help fight that competitive edge.
Exactly. Well, he's about a second slower at this stage. Again, any clear would guarantee him to take third. He could even have a couple of time faults if he wanted. Just a little rub there on that oxer. Comes down towards the last. We know he's not going to be quite quick enough to take the win, but very smooth round. 41.14 is the time for Sean Cassidy. Campitello double clear and will finish, as we suggested, in third place today.
That's a new partnership. We talked about experience really playing a role here today, and here he comes in less experienced at this level with this horse. What an exceptional day for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Real nice finish for him. So huge congratulations there to all the athletes. And you know, we've said so much that Eric Neve has been knocking on the door for such a long time. It's fantastic to see him finish right up at the top there with Calypso. A great jump off we've seen here this afternoon. Eve Jobs taking the second place for the United States of America, and Carrie Roofer finishing up in third. But a great competition here, Katie. We've seen some experienced combinations and some new ones as well. And I think it's been a real interesting insight to what we're going to see here on Sunday.
Definitely, and that was a great track designed by Alan Wade. I think it sets up everyone really well and still gives them a little bit of a test to see where they're at. Absolutely thrilled for Eric Neve. That was overdue, and a very nice win for him and Calypso.
Well, he'll come in with confidence here on Sunday, because it's going to be the first of 14 legs in the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup North American League. And if you've been watching on Facebook or watching on YouTube Live, it's been great to have you with us, but you'll have to watch on FEI TV here this Sunday. The first of 14 legs, and Team USA have been flying the flag well for a couple of years now.
They have. The North American League has produced the last two World Cup champions. That really says something about this league. I am so excited to get back started up with the fourth season for the North American League. Just tremendous horses and riders, and what a beautiful venue to kick it off at.
Oh, absolutely. And if you come back and join us on Sunday, you might just see the next World Cup champion.
That's exciting.
That is exciting. Well, I've been Adam Cromarty alongside Kitty Stazak. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you come back and join us on Sunday. But wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Whatever you're doing, have a great day. We'll see you back here on Sunday.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back our top 8 finishers for this evening's $75,000 Steelcraft Door Products Cup. Longines ranking class. We're joined in the competition ring by our president and tournament director, Jane Tidball, our chief operating officer and tournament manager, Mr. Chris Back, as our riders will line up here for the presentation of awards for the Steelcraft Door Products Cup. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time this week, let's welcome to the show ring here our winner. And congratulations going out to Eric Nave aboard Katipso. Eric's been in the placings quite a few times here, but his first win this week. Joining us here, the Steelcraft Door Products Cup, Eric Nave, your champion, France. Your reserve champion, second place award to Eve Jobs aboard her own entry, Venue Duvet de Hassel, USA. It's a third place finish also for the American representing High Point Farm, Sean Cassidy aboard Campitello. Another top finish here for the American Carrie Roofer. She'll take home fourth for the Morningstar Sport Horses aboard Georgie Duavray EC. Another fourth place finish. It's a fifth award to Carlos Anguillero aboard Market Arminca, 12-year-old Anglo-European bred horse from Mexico. Your sixth place award winner to the American Mandy Porter aboard Abigail's entry, Abigail Archer, Milano. And a seventh place finish for Charlie Jacobs, the American aboard Casinia S, riding for CMJ Sport Horses from Boston, Massachusetts. Your eighth award to Allison Robitaille aboard Ace. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we'll have one more request from our champion as they're getting a little snack on the grass here. But we'll ask our winner, Mr. Eric Nave, to lead the way in the victory ride as we congratulate all of our winners for the $75,000 Steelcraft Door Products Cup. Leading the way, Eric Nave and Katipso. Well, congratulations to all of our top finishers, but one more time, your champion, Eric Nave, aboard Katipso. Eve
Once again, thank all of you for joining us here for our final competition. A big day of show jumping tomorrow here in Grand Prix Village at 9 o'clock start.